Alright, the usual disclaimer, Glou Glou did send me this pedal. They didn't pay me any money and have no say over what I say. This is going to be a first impressions video. I just opened this up. I'm going to play around with it a bit. I have no idea how it works or what it's supposed to do. And then I'll go look through the manual and talk through some of what I've learned. I'm starting with a pretty basic patch here on the Mini Freak. So right now it's off. Here it is on. Really interesting right off the bat. I have no idea how this thing works. I'm just going to start moving things around. Clearly distortion. Interesting distortion. Filter's doing interesting things. High pass, I think. Whoa. As high as it goes. Plenty high. Some sort of LFO-based repitcher or something? Interesting. So that mixes in some dry sound. That's really wild. Interesting. That changed it a lot, actually. It's a nice tone. It's really bright in a nice way. Like this will cut through a mix really easily. I would definitely want a low-pass filter after it to have some control over all of that. Oof. I really have no idea what's happening. This is like a familiar sound, but I have no idea. I've never heard a pedal quite like this. It's interesting, it's got what seems to be compression and dynamics, maybe is what that stands for. Let's see if that does anything. This is such a saturated tone. I kind of don't know what that would do. That seems to be an envelope follower. Yeah, I'd say so. That's kind of cool. Oh, maybe? Yeah, okay. So the sustain maybe causes it to continue doing whatever it's doing past when you play the note, which is cool. It's very video gamey. That's cool. Okay, so far I've totally had it on the PLL side. We're going to switch all the way over to fuzz. Again. Oh, I'll do it this way. There's the dry sound. Really neutral, I'd say. And now, just the fuzz. I was playing with this side before, and I really like how it sounds. Kind of reminds me of Siamese Dream era Smashing Pumpkins. Like, it just feels like that would make a chorus on that record pretty much instantly. Which I love. And it doesn't seem like on this side that these functions have any impact. But that does, apparently. Can't really tell what the compression's doing so far, assuming that's what it stands for. Really love that tone though, especially on fifths, maybe not that low. That's nice. Okay, now I'm going to mix the two. So you get a bit of the original octave on the fuzz side, and then the octaves up on the PLL side. Interesting. Whoa. So you can kind of orchestrate between these two. Like thread the two tones together. They both feel very aggressive so far. Dynamics, or whatever that is, makes a big difference. Whoa! Interesting. Get a little bit of a scoop there. Maybe that's what the scoop... Yeah, scoop is literally saxophone style scoop. Oh, I like that. Really bright, way up there. It'd be nice to have expression control over the mix here. We'll have to check if that's what it does. Alright, so really, whoa. Yeah, okay. Really bright and aggressive, especially on the PLL side. I'm going to do some reading and come back with further thoughts. Okay, so this is interesting. I only have, at this point, because this is pre-release, a pre-release manual, which doesn't talk a lot about what's going on in here. Doing a bit of research, it seems that PLL is an established guitar pedal thing that I just didn't happen to know anything about. That does some comparing of the waveform of your input with an oscillator, matches or sort of creates something out of the mathematical difference between the two and generates an oscillator out of that, or some sort of tone out of that. Obviously, people can jump in the comments who will know so much more about this. That's how we're getting this interesting PLL tone. And it seems that they've added some motion to that. Or maybe that's part of the deal. I don't know. But that's what's happening on that side. Range is pretty obvious, octave's pretty obvious. Lag is a little more mysterious, which they allude to in the manual, that it kind of interacts with a bunch of things here. The filter's also a little mysterious in the manual. It seems more intrinsically involved in the generation of sound itself than being an actual after-the-sound filter. Speed's kind of obvious. Scoop, I was totally wrong on. It's a mid-range scoop EQ at the input stage, and that kind of covers this bottom bit. But compression and dynamic also interacts with this bottom, the PLL, a whole lot. The compression is at the input level before the PLL or the fuzz, and according to the manual, impacts the way your sound interacts with the PLL in really important ways. And the dynamic actually comes after the PLL and fuzz to restore some of the dynamic range you had in the input. At least that's my understanding. Oh, also, sustain sets the gain at the input level before the PLL. More gain before the PLL seems to have a big impact on how it reacts. The manual, interestingly, says almost nothing about the fuzz, which is kind of funny. I have a feeling the fuzz is just there as an option to thread in with the PLL, but maybe I'm a simpleton, but the fuzz is kind of my favorite part. I really love how it sounds. Anyway, we'll stick on this side. So let's try some other sorts of sounds here. I'm just going to pop through all of these cheesy presets on the Mini Freak. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, like that. That's nice. that's very cool. Yeah, that's nice. All right, let's try some other sounds. I'm just picking a random here. That's kind of a weird one. Yeah, all right. Interesting interactions there. Yeah, I feel like in certain kinds of super saturated mixes and styles, like if you were doing something really shoegazy, some filtering after this and maybe some delay. You could get some really interesting full tones. I could see it working there. It's like really going to take over a mix when you introduce it. That's all right. It knows what it is. Whoa. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really unique. For me, this is kind of matching what Glou Glou, whatever it is, did with their Bucket Brigade pedal, the flancher, which is taking an analog phenomenon and presenting it really well with really interesting options for tone shaping. I absolutely love that pedal. And this is moving in the same direction. This sort of super bright, distorted sort of a tone is not something I use quite as much, but for many people I'm sure would be super useful. But this is still sounding like nothing else I have, so it'll certainly find a place in my ensemble of pedals. So yeah, I dig it. I don't think I fully understand it yet. Got some learning to do, but the tone is really unique, so yeah, I'm into it. Thanks for watching the video. Please do like and subscribe, all that stuff. All right, see you next time.